Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champions? Welcome to Week 2.
Week 2?
Yeah, we're going to start breaking down Week 2. We got Thursday night preview. We got starts
it flies,
in 6.
Dude. Once we get to the season, everything just flies.
Oh my god, I know. It's gonna get to week 4, 5, and 6. And we're gonna be like, what the frick's going on? I'm just happy. I'm happy football's back. Like I'm kind of mad because Rick and I got it. Well, I'm not mad. I'm happy for the people that are getting married. But Rick and I have got to go to a wedding on Sunday.
Yes.
So we are going to be watching football from a wedding.
Yep.
So I'll save my analysis for Monday. I apologize. But anyway, yeah, week 2. It's going to be interesting. Rick and I will be together for Thursday Night Football, this particular game. And I have somebody on the Philadelphia Eagles, Devonta Smith. Don't let me down. And I have Alexander Madison. Don't go breaking my heart. My whole team's playing on Thursday.
Don't go breaking my heart.
You got Kirk Cousins, don't you?
Yeah, we'll see about
and
that.
Jordan Addison?
Yeah, I do have Jordan
All right,
Addison,
here we go. So we're going to be yelling at each other. I wish we were playing each other. I don't even know we play week next week. I didn't even look. Please be you.
I could check.
Please be you.
Next week, I play.
No, it's not.
Brandon.
It's not you. Damn. All right. Well, anyway. So I can root for your players, too. I want Jordan Addison to do good. But anyway, so we're going to break down the Thursday night football game. This is a really good one. It is the... Oh, you know what? I just had a thought.
What was your thought?
Is Buffalo Wild Wings going to have this game on television? Because it's streamed.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, all right. I believe you.
But
if they don't, I'll rage.
Yeah, no, they will.
Okay.
I was gonna say though. I mean, I could save for off the show.
Oh yeah,
maybe I'll just do that.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so we got a Thursday night preview for this show. Before we do that, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your other podcasting platforms, please leave a review. Share this pod with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Click the bell for notifications, like, and comment down below any questions you may have. So like I said, the rest of the schedule starts and sits on the next show, which should come out Thursday. And then we have on Friday buys and sells. So that should be interesting. But anyway, let's talk about this game. So the over-under right now is Vikings at Eagles. So the Eagles are the home team for this one. The over-under is 48. I would say both of these football teams in week 1 underperformed. The Vikings lost to Tampa Bay. The Eagles had 25 points. Their offense only scored 18. So just a gross game for both of these offenses. Hopefully there's a bounce back of some sort for both of them, but this is a hard bounce back for the Vikings to hit because this is going to be a tough defensive phase. But the over-under right now, 48 points. So there should be some points scored in this game. We're going to start breaking down the Minnesota Vikings. Before we do that, do you have any thoughts on the game itself, Rick?
No, not really. We can get into the breakdowns.
Okay. All right. And then we'll do a game pick. Who did you pick last week to win?
I picked the Lions. I'm 1-0. Yeah, bro. Remember you were like, you go roll back the tape.
I probably see now that you say that. I probably have. You're probably right. If you know, you say
roll back the tape.
I say the Chiefs.
I picked the Lions. You said the Chiefs, and you said you didn't have the balls to do it.
Rooting for the Lions. I didn't have the balls.
And he should have joined me, but I will say when I picked it, I was like, I'm gonna lose. I know I'm going to go on 1.
Somebody had to be on. So we'll pick this game.
Okay.
That means, Rick, if you just agree with me for the rest of the season, you beat me in the Thursday night picks.
Yeah, I'll just do that. That's a great strategy.
Anyway, all right. So we'll start with the Minnesota Vikings because they are the road team, and we'll start with the quarterback position here. Kirk Cousins, obviously. A lot of people drafted him. He had a poopy week this week or last week against the against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
He actually did all right.
In our league, he
17
had
points.
19.9 fantasy points.
Yeah, so he had 17.5 in regular league, so that's not bad.
QB.
I'm sorry, that's QB9. That's exactly what you expect Kirk Cousins to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So never mind. He did not have a poopy week. Forgive me for mischaracterizing that. I got to look at the stats and be more prepared. But
it's a Kirk Cousins week.
Kirk Cousins is playing Philly in prime time. So Rick, because you are playing him or have to think about playing him, what's the strategy here?
It's not fun. It's not a fun week for Kirk Cousins fantasy owners. I mean, one, it's a primetime game. That's already a bad start. Number two, it's a Thursday game. And number three, it's against the Eagles team that have a pretty good defense. My only hope is that Mac Jones and the Patriots had a really good week against the Eagles, passing the ball wise. Had a lot of passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. And I think the Vikings passing game is at least on par, maybe better. They have Justin Jefferson. They have Jordan Addison.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin O'Connell as an offensive coach. And the Eagles secondary is a little banged up. James Bradbury is expected to be out this week.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some hope there, but I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Are you starting?
It's between him and Geno Smith for me.
Oh,
which
God.
is another gross one. Geno had a bad week 1.
Yeah.
He's playing the Lions week 2. So it's a decent matchup. But he's without his left tackle. So I don't know what to do. I really am torn. I'm hoping you can maybe give me some guidance. My plan is probably to go Geno, but I don't like it at all. I could also stream this week as well. But
I think it's a challenge because Kirk Cousins,
yep,
in primetime, obviously, historically has not been great. When he was with Washington, he was good, but with the Vikings,
it was bad in Washington too.
Yeah, okay, all right. But so it's like, but I don't want to just say primetime is a bad place to play Kirk Cousins because he sucks there. He had a good fantasy week against the Patriots in Thanksgiving. That was a night game on Thursday, so I don't know. But it is on a short week, and I hate playing players on a short week. Like, I have to do the same thing. I got 2 guys on a short week, so, like, it sucks. But, you just, especially if they're talented players and good, you kind of just bite the bullet. But if I had Kirk Cousins, it's not like he's, Mahomes or, Josh Allen or Justin Fields or Jalen Hurts, where you kind of have to start him. We'll talk about Hurts in this game, but like you kind of have to start him this week because they're them. They're one of the top 5 quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins is between QB8 and QB12 pretty much on a weekly basis, and he can have bust games. So it's not like he's not irreplaceable. So if I were you, I would consider starting Geno Smith this week. Who did you say he was playing?
The Lions.
So that might be a tougher matchup than we think. But the Eagles aren't an easy matchup either, so that's a really tough one. It's probably, to be honest with you, if I'm doing my rankings for week 2, they're probably going to be right next to each other. It's kind of just close your eyes and shoot in the dark. But I would maybe think about starting Geno just because of the fact that A, it's not in prime time on Thursday night, and B, he's got an easier matchup against the Lions, so I would consider that. But if you have to start Kirk Cousins this week because you got no better option, I won't judge you for it.
Yeah,
because I don't think prime time.
Who would you start?
Who would I start?
Yeah,
I just said maybe Geno.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's who I'm leaning. I'm leaning Geno, but
yeah, we're in the same.
It's gross. It's gross.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's like if you start Kirk Cousins, you're probably fine too. Because I know that
I do think
it's bad, but
I looked. He did play Philly last year, and it was in week 2. He only had 11 fantasy points.
Oh god!
But he threw the ball 46 times. It was 3 interceptions that killed him. And the Eagles secondary, like I said, is a little banged up right now. So if they throw the ball 46 times again, I think he'll be okay.
Okay. Let's talk about the running backs here. We have Alexander Madison and Ty Chandler, who got some work for the Minnesota Vikings. It was a 30. He had 17% of the snaps. He actually got one whole drive. I'm not really sure why that was the case, but it wasn't good. He had 3 rushing attempts for 0 yards on that drive, and so they took him right out. And then they did their fullback, CJ Ham, also got involved. 34% of the snaps went to CJ Ham, and they gave him 3 targets in the game. So not really sure.
Well,
what
that's
was
the
up
Vikings.
it's not really sure. He didn't have any carries, but that was 3 targets, 2 receptions. Not really sure what was up with that. But Madison had 73.2% of the snaps.
Yeah.
11 rushes, 34 yards, 4 targets, 3 catches, 10 yards in the game on Sunday, and a touchdown receiving. So some good stuff for Alexander Madison. Not great in terms of the rushing opportunity that he had. He only had just under 3.4 yards a carry.
He had 3 yards a carry.
Yeah, 3 yards a carry.
3.09.
That's not
so
good.
3.1.
And now they're going up against one of the toughest defenses in the NFL. So not excited about that. But hey, if you drafted Alexander Madison, are you expecting 20 points a game? I'm not. So I'm just going to say I'm okay with starting him, obviously, this week, unless you really do have like a deep bench and better options. But as of right now, it's week 2. I don't know that I have a deep bench or better options at this point at the running back position. So I'm going to roll with Alexander Madison. I don't want any other player in this backfield.
I don't want any other player either in the backfield. As for Madison, I'm not comfortable with it. I think if I have a better option, I'm going with it. There's some teams like if you drafted Madison in the 5th round and then you drafted a running back in like the 6th or 7th round, depends who that guy is, but I would probably go with him. Madison, I'm just not crazy about the player, and then it's also a tough matchup. Yeah. I think Madison's not bad, and he's going to get volume as the season goes on. He had volume in week 1, and he's going to get touchdowns, so like he's not going to be bad. But in a game like Philly, where it's just a tough matchup, I don't know. He could still end up getting like 10 to 13 points again, like he did in week 1, because if he gets a touchdown or gets some targets, gets some catches, I think he'll be solid, but I don't love his ceiling this week.
No, there's not much ceiling.
Philly's rush defense is really good. Their front is really, really good.
Like I think
Madison is not an efficient running back anyway. So.
It's gonna matter. Like I think he can be efficient, but he's not gonna be great against tough matchups. Like Dalvin Cook was kind of matchup proof. I don't know that Alexander Madison is. It's going to depend on his touchdown upside in the game, similar to how this week, if he scores a touchdown, I think he'll end up with a good week. If he doesn't score a touchdown, you'll end up sitting there going, frick, why did I start him? So, which, kind of is, I think, the boat that I'm going to be in because I have Madison in the home league. So, but I at this point, it's week 2, so kind of just see what you got.
Right.
Keep figuring it out. It's not going to end your season if you have one bad player at one bad position.
Yeah, and I don't think Madison, like his floor, like he's not going to go out there and get 2 fantasy points either and like really kill you.
I hope not.
I just don't. I think he's going to get like, if I had to bet, I'd say he's like around 8 or 9 fantasy points, which is like,
okay. All right, we got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, KJ Osborne, 3 options for the Minnesota Vikings. They run through wide receiver sets 75% of the time, and these guys were on the field for a majority of their snaps on Sunday. Obviously, it's only one game, so you can't really gauge it. But looking at that, hold on. Let me just pull up those numbers. Just
Osborne
90,
was
98 for Justin Jefferson, 90 for KJ Osborne, 55 for Jordan Addison, and then Jalen Naylor and Brandon Powell did not get a single opportunity. So they ran 3 wide receiver sets most of the game and 2 wide receiver sets most of the game, not really going with any other wide receivers. But to me, I feel like obviously Justin Jefferson's got to be a go. I would say KJ Osborne is not a guy that I would like. Maybe if he has a good week this week, he's a waiver wire pickup, but he's not anyone that I want to get anywhere near my bench or anything like that at this point, unless something changes there. But the real question here in the middle is Jordan Addison, and he had a touchdown catch this week. He had a really good first game of the season, and obviously some beneficial things for him. But I'm questioning whether or not you should go in the direction of Jordan Addison this week. It might be a good week for him because, James Bradbury is out. Mm-hmm. And Darius Slay is probably going to be on Justin Jefferson, which means that the 3rd or 4th corner on the team will be on Jordan Addison. And there could be an opening there for Kirk Cousins to throw the ball to Jordan Addison. I don't know if that's what's going to happen. So that's where the question is. What do you think you're going to do with Addison this week?
I mean, I'm probably going to start him because I don't know if I have any better options. I think if you do, I'd probably go in that direction. I'm not super, again, and it kind of goes with the theme here. I'm not super high on the Vikings this week. And we'll get to my prediction, but you can kind of tell where I'm leaning. I think, and we talked about it before the season, that Jordan Addison might start slow. With Jefferson. Jefferson started as the wide receiver 3 when he came in. I think Addison is the wide receiver 3 right now. It's different because the Vikings now use a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, where back when Jefferson was a rookie, they did not. And they're more of a run first team.
Yeah.
But I don't think Addison is like super involved yet as he could be. And I think week 2, it's going to continue. But as you said, with the injuries to the corners and Bradbury, like he could have some good matchups and end up getting some big plays again. So I don't think he's awful. He's not an awful start. But if you have some options there at your flex, especially if you're in a 1 flex league and you got a couple decent guys, I'd probably lean those guys over Addison just for this week. But starting next week in week 3, I think Addison can really take off.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Let's go to the tight end position. TJ Hawkinson, he's got to be run on the field. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
So I don't have any much to say. Like, let's just quickly, expectations for Hawk in this game. Like,
kind of what he's been doing. Like, he's gonna get a lot of targets. He'll probably get 10 or 11 fantasy points, but I don't expect a monster week from him against Philly. But
I mean, hey, Philly could put all of their attention on
that's
Jefferson
true.
and Jordan.
I could see a touchdown for TJ Hawk this week.
Hawk open, and then he gets 20 points, and he's the only fantasy asset that has any kind of success this week.
Yeah. No matter what,
but you're starting Hawk regardless. Yeah.
Right.
So that's just to give people some expectations. All right, let's move to the home field opening day for opening night, I should say, for the Philadelphia Eagles. First game of the season at home. They kind of had a rough outing against the Patriots offensively, so they're looking to bounce back in this game. And against a defense that really I don't see has made any kind of sizable improvements over last year. They were kind of porous. They're a zone coverage team, which is kind of beneficial to them because, it's something that Jalen Hurts as a rushing quarterback is, it kind of stymies his rushing ability in this game a little bit. But, and something that they always have struggled with is if you switch to man coverage. I think they had a game against Detroit last year where they scored the lowest points they scored all season. I think it was 17, and they played cover 1 man the entire game. And for whatever reason, that worked. So I don't know. They might slice up the Minnesota Vikings. That could happen. But let's talk about what actually happens in this game with Jalen Hurts. He's one of those guys, like I said earlier, must start. No question about it. I don't like in terms of expectations. He's a rushing quarterback, so I would expect him to be somewhere in the vicinity of 25 fantasy points. That's like a median range.
Right. I think Hurts bounces back in a big way this week. I don't expect. First of all, I don't expect 2 bad weeks in a row from Hurts, fantasy wise. And then second of all, it's against Minnesota that let Baker Mayfield not torch them, but Baker Mayfield had a decent game against Minnesota. Their defense is kind of Swiss cheese. And I think at home opener too, and you look back at last year, Jalen Hurts had 34 fantasy points against the Vikings at home.
Yep.
I think it's going to be one of those games. So very in on Jalen Hurts this week. Even if I wasn't, though, you're starting him no matter what.
Yep. All right, let's talk about the next positional group, running back. Interesting scenario. Penny was gone. Healthy scratch. So looks like the guys right now are Kenneth Gainwell, the starter, DeAndre Swift, the number 2, Boston Scott, the number 3 at this point at the running back position, unless something changes. And it looked like Kenneth Gainwell got the majority of opportunities. And at this point for me, Boston Scott's not even a roster. Don't even have him on your team. DeAndre Swift, you kind of have to hold on your team because of the draft selection and the value that you put in him. The problem with DeAndre Swift is that he was so bad a Sunday against the Patriots and didn't get any opportunity. I think he had 17% of the snaps. So he didn't get
2 touches.
He had 2 touches in the game, 17%. It was bad. And so you can't start him this week. Starting him this week would be a fool's errand. And if you don't start him this week and then he gets a bunch of opportunities, scores a touchdown, has a really good game, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm just telling you what I know, what's in front of my eyes, and he hasn't played. So why would I start a guy that hasn't played? You know what I mean?
I'll just say this with Swift. I'm not starting him until you see it. I'm not starting Swift until I see it.
Yes, exactly.
Reason for me too.
That leaves on the table Rashad Penny at the running back. I mean, wow, get out of here with Rashad Penny. Kenneth Gainwell. I was literally looking at his picture and he just brainwashed me.
Yeah.
Kenneth Gainwell as an option for this game. He's probably rostered. I'm going to say no, but it is not a terrible matchup. So if you need in a deeper league, if you need a flex, I'm okay with Gainwell running. If he's more efficient this week, which I hope he is, Patriots do have a good run defense, so it's going to make it a little tougher for guys like Gainwell to gain some traction. Minnesota, a little bit weaker on the run defense, so I think Gainwell could have some more success. But last week, Tampa Bay sucked running the ball. I don't know if that's because Tampa sucks at running the ball or if it's Minnesota being good at stopping the run.
I think it's mostly Tampa sucks, but
yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a fair point. I kind of agree with you. I think Gainwell, I'm not going out of my way to start him, but if you need an RB or you need a flex, I don't think he's an awful move. Swift, as I said, not doing it until I see it. One interesting thing, though, as we record the show a little early, but Gainwell did not partake on Monday with a walkthrough with a rib injury. So if he's out, we're back on the Swift train. That's all I'm saying. But if he's in, then he could be a deep flex play or somebody that you need to plug in at running back. I don't think he's an awful option, but I'm not going out of my way to start him.
Okay. Let's go to the wide receiver position. Two main guys that are probably going to be started in every league they're in is A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. So I do. They both had really good weeks. They both get targeted the same amount. They're both going to be fine in this game. They should have. Against the Minnesota Vikings secondary, they should probably have really, really good weeks. I mean, if Tampa was able to have some forms of success, I would imagine that Jalen Hurts and the Eagles can do something there. A.J. Brown should have a really good game. I think he had kind of a Christian Gonzalez, baby, locking it down over there. 7 catches, 79 yards. So didn't let him pop one off for a touchdown, which is what A.J. Brown does. But I think he should have a good game. I think Smith should have a good game, and you're okay with rolling those guys.
Yeah, I agree. I think both guys you'll probably start both guys anyway, but I would expect some pretty good weeks from both those guys this week.
Okay, and then the tight end position, we have Dallas Goedert, who had 0 points. Tell me, Rick, what to do with Dallas Goedert. He didn't have 0 points, but he had a bad game.
He had 0 points.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Sweet deal. All right, tell me what to do with Dallas Goedert.
I don't know. I mean, thanks
Romo for roasting me, by the way. At least I got a touchdown from Pat Freiermuth.
I know. We'll see how this season. All right, it's week 1. You drafted Goddard probably in the first 8 rounds, so you're starting him no matter what. And I am a little concerned about week 1. I know during the live broadcast though, there were moments in the game where Goddard was there was no one within 10 yards of him, and then Hurts didn't throw it to him. That happened twice where Romo pointed it out. So I think I don't know why he wasn't really involved week 1. We'll have to see if that's a new development, or if that was just week 1 and then against the Vikings this week he has a big week. So we'll see. But you got to start him no matter what, and I do think he bounces back. But if he doesn't, sound the alarms.
Oh yeah, that would be bad. I drafted Freiermuth over Dallas Goedert. So there you go, guys.
Yeah. It's weird the victory lap 7 points, but go ahead.
I put my money where my mouth is.
1 catch for 3 yards, bro.
Oh my God, bro. I'm not even joking. I was watching the game and I'm like, Pickett, please do something. And it was the end of the first half and I'm like, just throw a touchdown, man. Just throw a touchdown. He drops back. He throws it to Pat Freiermuth. He gets popped in the chest. He drops the ball. I'm like, no. Comes out for 1 possession and then they don't get the playoff. And then he can come back in the game. So he comes back in. Boom, right in the seam. Pat Freiermuth, I get 7 points. So pretty excited about that.
1 catch for 3 yards.
All right, so that is the breakdown for both teams. This, on paper, with all of the fantasy assets, should be a really good week for really good Thursday night game for fantasy football. At least one that's interesting to watch. And I would actually say I was looking at the Thursday night slate. Lots of really good fantasy football games to watch. So, but this starts it off, and it should be a really good week for Thursday night football to kick it off, and a lot of guys to watch. Hopefully, it's not disappointing because that's usually what happens on Thursday night football.
Right.
Let's pick the game. Rick, you go first. Let me know who you think's going to win.
Yeah, to me, I'm pretty confident in saying the Eagles. I'm very much on the Eagles train this week. I think home opener, they match up well against the Vikings, and I think the Vikings are kind of mid, and the Eagles are one of the best teams. So I'll take the Eagles.
Okay. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings just to go opposite.
If you lose though, you're in an 0-2 hole.
Yeah, well, you know what? I like to make odd bets here, and
okay,
both teams. Right. I would say the Eagles won a game that they were trying to give away, and they didn't look good on the offensive side of the ball.
Very true.
And defensively, they looked fine. This is a dumb pick, but I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings. I think the Vikings they got embarrassed. Like the Eagles played bad. The Eagles played bad and won. If the Eagles had lost to the Patriots, I think they would have went into this game just as embarrassed as the Vikings did. But the Vikings lost to arguably, like the Patriots, people were like, oh, they're going to be 8-9. I don't know of a single person that had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning more than 6 games this year. So, like when you go out and you lose after winning 12 games the previous season, you go out and lose the first game of the season against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I would imagine that they're pretty pissed off and angry that they lost that game. They should bounce back this week, get a win against Philly, and Philly is now going to be like, oh, well, what the crap? We had 2 bad weeks. Are we in a Super Bowl hangover? Question mark?
Who knows? We'll see.
So I'm taking the Vikings. All right. Any more thoughts on the game?
Nope.
All right. There we have it. Starts and sits coming up on Thursday, and then we got buys and sells. We can already start improving our team by trading for some players. And it's early week 1. You don't really know what's happening yet, but we'll give you some guys to trade for. We'll get that to you later this week. See you later, guys.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube, and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.